YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you being here. Let me take off my glasses. I really appreciate you being here. And if I do look down, it just means that I'm looking at my notes. And I've got my drink here. So let's get started, okay? So I've got my notes on my tablet because it makes sense coming to you prepared because you matter. Obviously, I'll be doing videos where it's like I'm just freely speaking. I think it makes sense so that the video is not so long that I actually come with notes and I come with some kind of idea of what I want to talk about. Doing I'm just looking at my notes. And also I'm new to YouTube as well, so any supports would be very helpful. So yeah, so let's get into the video. So what I will talk about today. So the topic of today's video is how do you know if a guy likes you? Yes, you heard me correctly. How do you know if a guy likes you, right? Most of our communication now happens online, so I'm sorry, we need to know. Like, I cannot be behind this screen texting forever. Like, I need to know if you're down, okay? So that's what this is. So this is to weed out the time wasters, the players, the baby mama issues, the guys that have mama dramas, you know, just all these things. And also so that we know that we're giving our energy to someone that actually deserves it. I'm not saying there are people that don't deserve it, but I'm just saying, sorry, I feel like I have to be politically oh, I cannot say this word. Politically correct, okay? So, which I have to say will make these videos extra long because sometimes things just come out my mouth, okay? So how to weed out the players, the users, the abusers. I'm not saying this is going to be 100% bulletproof. Some people are sneaky, they'll come through, right? But at least it gives you an idea of which level this guy is on, right? We've all been there where we're like, oh, okay, Google, what does it mean if he says I'm beautiful? What does it mean if he says I'm cute? Like, all these things that really shouldn't matter, we spend too much time on. So ideally, this video is to simplify a little bit. So I've been in the receiving end of talking to different guys, and then it just ends up either ghosting. Like, I hate ghosting. So bear in mind, I've been there, so I know. I was one of those girls that will Google, what does it mean when a guy says this? Does a guy mean this when they say this? It's like, it's exhausting, okay? It's exhausting, it's annoying, it's stressful, and all of that. So I'm trying to ease it, okay? I'm being that girl that's giving information that I was looking for when I was at that stage. So I would like to think that I'm more mature now, and through experiences, and I can kind of now tell to some extent. So I've written down about 9 to 10 signs that shows you this guy is interested or they're not interested. So let's dive in, let's get it started. You came here to hear it and I'm gonna give it to you, right? So these are not in any order. Replies will be quicker. So that's number one. So if someone likes you, right, whether this goes for whether a guy likes you and whether a boy likes you. Obviously there's going to be some slight variations, but it's kind of similar. It's if a human being likes you, right, romantically, this is what they will do. So their replies will be a lot quicker. Obviously we have life commitments, we have work, we have other things that go on, but generally the response is going to be a lot quicker. So if a guy is taking hours and hours to get back to you, that shows, I'm sorry, that they're not trying to like keep you gauged, and they're not trying to come across anyhow. They don't care how you view them, right? So if a guy takes or a girl takes long time, okay, to make this easy, I'll talk about guys if a guy likes you. So if a guy takes 5 hours or plus to get back to you, that's a red flag. And if life happens and it means that they cannot get back to you, when they respond, they'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, this happened, that's why my replies are slow. And some people are just polite like that, they'll apologize. And then, but how you would know if they're just being polite or if they're genuinely interested and they don't want you to view them negatively for them replying hours later, they would try not to do it so much. So if they responded 4 hours, next time they'll respond quicker. And the pattern would be that they're responding more quicker than not, if that makes sense. So that's the first sign. The first sign is that they will reply quicker. And if they don't reply quick, they reply hours later, they will explain why the reply was so slow. So that's one. That means I deserve a sip. So the second tip is, I'll look down. He will keep the conversation going in the text. So it will keep the conversation going. If you find yourself always keeping the conversation going, you will know in you when you feel like you're kind of pushing this conversation. If you don't ask a question, you know they're not going to ask you a question, so you kind of, it's cringe. So you kind of ask long question just so you know they're going to have to reply. Like, don't do that, please. So the second one is that they will keep the conversation flowing. So let's say you finish a conversation, they'll bring up something else just so that the conversation can carry on, if that makes sense. So let's say we were talking about school, for example, the conversation finished, like, yeah, you finished talking about school, and you know, in person, that moment when you're like, okay, so like, what's gonna happen now? Do you know what I mean? Like that awkward silence when it comes in, or that prolonged pause, like they'll be scared that if you don't ask you a question, you might not ask them a question. So a guy that's interested will kind of ask you a question, even if the question doesn't make sense. So look out for that when they ask you, when a conversation finishes and there's a period of silence, or you respond to them, but the response you gave does not require for them to respond. They would then come up with another question to keep the conversation flowing. You know what I mean? Yeah, so that's basically what it is. So that's the second one. And then the third point is that he will give you the same energy, right? Sometimes we think that we can only sense energy in person, but sometimes because we've been texting for so long, most of our interactions are now online, you can still gauge if that person's energy is in mesh with yours, if that makes sense, if you're on the same page. This is difficult to tell, but sometimes you can tell. That's by also their responding time, them engaging and asking you questions and trying for the conversation not to die down. So that's one way, and that's part of the energy building, right? And so for example, so the energy would be like, let's say you send them 5 paragraphs, they will come back with 5 paragraphs, right? So let's say you send them 5 messages, they will come back with 5 messages replying to each one of your message, right? It's not like just a quick reply as well, like yes, thanks. No, it's gonna be like, oh, where were you born? How was it? They would literally reply to that one. I was born blah blah blah, it was blah blah blah. So they'll reply to each message you send, and if you write paragraph, they'll respond with paragraph. Okay, bear in mind, guys don't really write long messages, but it will still answer your questions that you've asked, and also they will give a little bit more information. So for example, if you ask them, where did you go to school, and they're like, I went to school here. I'm not saying that's a red flag, no it's not, because some people don't talk too much, but overall they'll be giving you more information, if that makes sense, because they want you to get to know them if they're seeing a potential relationship. So that's that. So the energy is there, they give you what you give them, right? So it's like, yeah, you're seeing eye to eye. So that's that. And then the next tip, they will quickly initiate to voice notes, right? So let's say you meet this guy, you're texting back and forth, you're texting, and then he'll be like, oh, I'm not really a texting person, or he wouldn't say anything, he'll just start sending you a voice message. So hey, how are you? It's like, so you can hear his voice, and sneakily, right, he's doing it so that you can reply with a voice message so that he can hear your voice. Do you see the trick? It's like some kind of a mind game. So slowly he will start to incorporate voice messages, right? To kind of hear your voice, because when you like someone, you want to hear them speak. It's nice when you hear them speak. So they want to hear you speak, and slowly they'll be like, are you free to speak on the phone? And then you gradually, but it's like it's progressing. So first you're texting, it's progressing to voice messages, they're sending you voice message, and then it's progressing to phone calls. I mean, bear in mind now, our generation don't really like to speak on the phone. I personally like to speak on the phone because I just can't be bothered to text. I'm really bad at texting, and I'm not saying that with pride. Like, if you ask my family, my friends, I'm the worst person. Like, I take days to reply. So go by the personality of the person as well. But even though I'm bad at replying, but if someone is asking me a question, I'll reply quick. Like, if it's important, I'll reply quick. Like, I'll just reply quick. But if I know it's just a general chit chat, it'll take me a while to get back to it, because I'm sorry, I am busy. So it's that. So gradually it will lead to phone calls. They want to hear your voice. And then the next one is that they will initiate in-person meetup, right? So that's another one. So if they want something meaningful with you, so when I say meaningful, like, as in not just texting, they will want to initiate a meetup, whether that's, let's meet up for a coffee, let's meet up at the park. Like, who really goes to the park now? But I don't know who's gonna watch this video, what ages, but I'm just saying they will initiate a live meetup, right? So it's not just on the texting. So they would ask you out, either directly, like, oh, do you want to go out? Or they'll try and gauge your interest and then be like, oh, like, I'm doing this. So they'll say they're doing this, something that they know you're interested in. So like, so they're asking you out in that way. So it's either directly asking you out or not so directly asking you out. So that's that, but they will initiate to see you in person. And also he will ask you questions, right? And not just flirting and telling you things that you want to hear, like sweet nothings, but they'll ask you questions so that they can get to know you, like, just more, right? Because in person, get to know someone deeper than over text. So the way to kind of them to get to know you more would be asking you like deeper questions. I'm not saying they're gonna ask you like deep questions, who died last year, like they're not gonna ask you something so personal, but they'll ask you things for them to feel like they're getting to know you. So they'll ask if they know that there's something about you, they'll be like, oh, were you born here? Or like, that's just an example, but like something that's kind of important, do you know what I mean? To your identity. So they'll ask you about that. They'll ask you like, what's your favorite thing, like your favorite color. Obviously the conversation has to flow, so it's not like you're talking about food and all of a sudden they're asking you something weird, like or something completely. So but they'll ask you something that they feel like they'll get to know you more. So they'll ask you, for example, what is your favorite color, like what food do you like just something, so that they feel like they're getting to know you. That's not just surface level, like, you know. So that's that. And also they will take interest in your health. I know this sounds too much for someone that you're just texting, but gestures like, oh, have you eaten? Like for me right now, it's cold in the UK. So they'll ask you, oh, I saw that it's snowing, like, I hope you're keeping warm. Like, this example I'm giving are actually real examples that has happened to me. So it's not like I'm just manufacturing these things that I want to hear from a guy, but this is something, all these things I'm saying is something that someone has said to me. So these examples are coming from real life examples, either from someone that I felt like was really interested to someone I felt like wasn't interested. So, you know, so they'll ask you, have you eaten? How was your day? I hope you're keeping warm. Like, just little things about showing that they care about your health and safety. You know, if someone asking you, have you eaten, it's not their business if you're eating or not, but they just want to make sure that you're looking after yourself. Do you see? And asking you if you're keeping warm. So just those little things they will do, because they're showing that they care about your health. They'll ask you how you're feeling. So let's say last time you spoke to the person, you're like, you're ill, you've got the flu or something. Next time you go back to talk to them, they're gonna remember that. So they're gonna remember that you've told them that you were ill. So they'll be like, oh, how are you feeling today? Like, how are you feeling now? So all these things are a sign. And also they would remember what you tell them. Like, they would make conscious effort to remember what you say. My memory is really bad, and I've been in denial for the longest time, doing affirmations like, my memory is good, but at some point I just have to be honest with myself, my memory isn't the best, right? So if I do like someone, I'll make that conscious effort to remember certain things that they will say, whether I will make note of it or so it's the same thing. So if a guy likes you, they'll remember certain things you tell them that they know is important to you. So let's say you told them that you've graduated and you're looking for a job. For example, they'll ask you, oh, so how's job hunting going? That's showing a connection that they remember what you've told them, that you're looking for a job. So it's like they make conscious effort to remember things that they feel is important to you. To you, it might not be important to you. You might have forgotten that you've told them, but they will take that initiative to remember and let you know that they've remembered by then asking follow-up days or weeks after you've said that thing. So that's a genuine sign if someone does that. But again, some people have elephant memories, right? They remember everything you told them, so they might still come back to you and be like, oh yeah, so how is job hunting going? And they're not really interested. It's just you've popped up. You need to know that these things are happening together. Do you know what I mean? So it's not like, okay, this guy hasn't responded 6 months later, but then they remember that you were job searching. That wouldn't mean that they genuinely like you, because I'm sorry, step one, they haven't satisfy step one, which is consistency in texting. So yes, so that's that. The next one would be they will try to impress you, right? Guys like to impress. Guys are mostly about competition. I'm not trying to generalize, but men are driven by accomplishment. I'm not saying that in a surface level, and I'm not trying to generalize, but generally men kind of move with what they've done. So they'll try to impress you, you know, try to make you be like, yeah, choose me, like in that sense that they're accomplishing something. I'm not saying they're like running for presidency, like I'm not talking about that, but small things that they've achieved or like kind of bring it up. For example, speaking to someone that was interested in me, and they were talking about an article that they've written, even though they don't the country they live in is a completely different language, and the article was written in a completely different language. They were like, oh, I've written an article, and they were very excited about it. They're like, you know what, I'll translate it for you if you want to read it, like, you know, all of that. So things that you're not interested in that they're doing and they feel accomplished, like just little things like, oh, okay, you know, I'm volunteering in the community, I'm doing this, like they're doing all these things for you to see that they're actually like a good human being. So so they'll do stuff like that, like they'll say things that they've done to like kind of impress you. Or some people will talk, if they go to the gym, they might talk about going to the gym, because like obviously if you go to the gym, some people will think, okay, you've got a better body or something. So they'll basically say things that they know would impress girls or would impress people in general. So look out for that, them trying to impress you. One thing that's really big is that you don't feel like you're chasing, right? I'm sure if you've googled this, you've been in that place where you're like, feel like you're chasing someone. So when this person likes you, you generally do not feel that anxiety that you're chasing this person, like this thing is running away from you, so you have to try and grab it, like all of that. No, you're literally relaxed, you're confident, you're relaxed, and you're not chasing, you're not all over the place trying to figure it out and all of that. You're not chasing, right? That's the thing. When you're chasing, the idea of chasing is that you're going after something that's trying to get away from you, something that's trying to escape from you, right? So when something is not escaping from you, you're meeting it, you're not chasing it. So that's one big feeling. Like, how do you feel? Do you feel like you're chasing? Other tip is that you're not out there googling morning to night, right? You're not trying to decode things. You're not trying to be like, okay, what is this? Like, you're not trying to decode, you're not trying to investigate, you know, you're not trying to turn into BBC, you know, you're not doing all of that, because it's clear, again, it's clear. You're not chasing. Okay, every now and then I need to Google certain things, yeah, that's understandable, but if you're generally Googling everything, that shows that you don't feel this person is not clear to you. So you have to find secondary interpretation to fit your understanding or what you want to understand out of this conversation, right? So too much Googling and decoding and mind reading is a sign that maybe this person is not so into you, right? Because if they're into you, again, the final one, say it with me, they will say it to you, right? I'm laughing because like in the past, it's so mind-bending trying to decode and all of that. But then I realized if someone likes you, they'll actually say it to you. They'll be like, I like you. Either that directly or not so directly. They'll be like, you're a cool person, I would like to get to know you, like other words, but you would understand that they mean that they like you. So it will be clear that they like you, they will say it. So some people are not so forward in saying how they feel, whereas some people are like, I like you, right? Take it as you take it. But some people are not as forward as that. Some people are a little bit more reserved. Some people are a little bit more shy. But the idea is they will let you know in many words or fewer words that they are into you. So that's the final one, and that's the one that I feel it's obvious, but we kind of don't take it in. Yeah, so if a guy says they like you, you don't have to go Google it, or when a guy says he likes you, does he like you? Like, you've said it, you know. Like, guys, I feel like are a little bit more simpler when it comes to that. Some play games, don't get me wrong, but they fear rejection. So if they do actually say it, it means they mean it. At least at that point that they said it. I'm saying that it means that they mean it 5 years later, but at least at that point they will say it. So how you know a guy likes you over text, right? So I'll go over it very quickly. So one, he'll reply quickly, and if he doesn't reply quickly, he would apologize for replying slow. He will keep the conversation going. He will ask follow-up questions. And 3, he will give you the energy back. So you send 5 paragraphs, he'll reply with 5 paragraphs. And 4, he will quickly initiate voice messages or speaking on the phone. And 5, he will initiate to meet up in person because he wants to see you in person. And 6, he would ask questions, and questions that mean something, not just flirting and sweet nothings. And 7, he will be interested in your health. Have you eaten? Have you sleeping? And all of that. And 8, he will try to impress you. And 9, he will initiate dates, so let's go on a date. And 10, you do not feel like you're chasing them, right? And the last final one, he will tell you so, right? He will tell you so. And this one is a bonus one. How the simplest way to know that someone is into you is how do you behave yourself when you're into someone else, right? Humans are complex. Men and women are different, I believe personally, but humans are the same. Humans are humans, right? How would you behave when you like someone with little tweaks? That's how the other person will behave if they like you. So my friend, stay hydrated, and I hope you visit my channel again. I hope this benefit you somehow. And come off Google, come off complicating things, right? You deserve someone that will give you the same energy that you give them back, okay? I'm sorry. Don't hurt your knuckles by typing. At some point, conversation needs to come off the phone, come off the laptop, and come to face, right? So yeah, thank you so much for being here, and I hope I see you again. All right, bye. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. Like, share, subscribe, and stay hydrated, not thirsty.